What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your talent, your money, your background, or your luck? What if it's simply the way you think? Think about that for a second. Every day, millions of people quietly destroy their own future before they even begin. Not because they're incapable, but because they've convinced themselves they're not good enough. They dream small, they act small, and eventually, they become small. But according to David J. Schwartz, success doesn't come from genius-level intelligence. It doesn't come from perfect timing either. It comes from one simple thing: thinking bigger than everyone else around you. And honestly, that idea sounds almost too simple. But this book has changed millions of lives for decades because it reveals a truth most people never realize. Your life grows in proportion to your thinking. The opportunities you notice, the risks you take, the confidence you project, the goals you chase, everything starts in the mind first. And in the next few minutes, you'll discover the powerful mindset shifts inside the magic of thinking big that can completely change the direction of your life, career, money, relationships, and future. Because once you truly understand this idea, you stop living like a victim of circumstances and start acting like the architect of your destiny. When David J. Schwartz wrote this book, he noticed something strange. The most successful people weren't always the smartest people. In fact, many average-looking, average-educated people were outperforming highly intelligent individuals everywhere. Why? Because intelligence alone doesn't create success. Belief does. And that's the core philosophy of this entire book. The size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. Most people secretly carry what Schwartz calls failure thinking. They constantly say things like, "I'm not experienced enough. I'm too late. People like me don't succeed. What if I fail?" And without realizing it, they train their brain to expect defeat. Your mind is like a search engine. Give it a negative command, and it will find evidence to support it. Tell yourself you're not capable, and your brain will prove it. Tell yourself you can grow, learn, adapt, and win, and suddenly your mind starts searching for solutions instead of excuses. And this is where the book becomes truly powerful. Because Schwartz explains that confidence is not something you're born with. It's something you build through action. Not perfect action. Not fearless action. Just action. Most people wait until they feel confident before they start. But successful people do the opposite. They start first, and confidence catches up later. That single mindset shift alone can change someone's entire future. One of the most powerful lessons in this book is the idea of thinking big. Now, at first, that sounds motivational, maybe even cliché, but Schwartz gives it a deeper meaning. Thinking big doesn't mean fantasizing about private jets all day. It means refusing to mentally shrink yourself. For example, imagine two people applying for the same promotion. One person thinks, "I probably won't get it." The other thinks, "I can absolutely grow into this role." Same opportunity, same environment, different thinking. And guess who usually wins? The person who believes they belong there. Because belief changes behavior. When you think small, you hesitate. You speak carefully. You avoid risks. You stay invisible. But when you think big, your energy changes. Your decisions change. Your body language changes. People feel it. Most people never realize this, but the world often responds to you based on how you see yourself first. That's why Schwartz says, believe big. The size of your success is determined by the size of your belief. And honestly, this idea affects every area of life. Relationships, business, money, health, creativity. The person who believes growth is possible will always outperform the person trapped in self-doubt. Not instantly, but eventually. Because mindset compounds over time. Another life-changing concept from the book is this: excuses are dangerous. And not the obvious excuses, the subtle ones. The excuses that sound intelligent. I don't have enough time. I'm waiting for the right moment. I need more preparation. I'm too old. I'm too young. Schwartz calls these excuse-itis. And according to him, most people suffer from it without even noticing. Here's the scary part. The more you repeat an excuse, the more real it becomes. Eventually, excuses stop being temporary thoughts and become your identity. Think about how many dreams die because someone convinced themselves they weren't ready. A business never starts. A relationship never happens. A creative idea never gets shared. Not because failure was guaranteed, but because fear sounded logical. And this is where the book hits hard emotionally. Because Schwartz reminds us that successful people are not fearless people. They simply refuse to let fear make decisions for them. Fear grows when you wait. Action destroys fear. That idea alone can completely change your life. The moment you start taking small, uncomfortable actions, your brain slowly rewires itself. You stop seeing yourself as weak. You stop seeing yourself as powerless. And little by little, your identity changes. Then the book moves into something incredibly practical: environment. Schwartz argues that your thinking is heavily influenced by the people around you. If you constantly surround yourself with negativity, small thinking becomes normal. People will mock ambition, criticize dreams, laugh at risk-taking. And over time, you unconsciously shrink yourself just to fit in. But successful people protect their mental environment carefully. They consume empowering ideas. They spend time with growth-oriented people. They feed their mind optimism instead of constant negativity. And this matters more today than ever before, because modern life is filled with distraction, outrage, comparison, and fear. Social media constantly tells people they're behind. News cycles constantly spread anxiety. And many people unknowingly train their minds to expect disaster every day. But Schwartz teaches something powerful. Protect your mind like your future depends on it. Because it does. Your mind shapes your actions. Your actions shape your habits. Your habits shape your destiny. And this is where productivity enters the picture. The book emphasizes that successful people are action-oriented. They don't overanalyze everything forever. They make decisions, they move, they adapt while moving. Most people stay stuck because they're addicted to preparation. But life rewards execution, not endless thinking. One of the most emotional ideas in the book is learning how to think beyond limitations. Schwartz explains that many people are physically alive, but mentally defeated. They've accepted average, accepted fear, accepted smallness. And after years of repeating the same limiting beliefs, they stop imagining a better future entirely. That's heartbreaking, because human potential is enormous. Most people are capable of far more than they ever attempt, but they never test themselves. They stay in environments that drain them, jobs they hate, habits that weaken them, relationships that limit them. And deep down, they quietly convince themselves this is all life has to offer. But Schwartz challenges readers to completely reject that mindset. He encourages people to visualize a bigger future, a stronger version of themselves, a healthier life, a meaningful career, financial freedom, confidence, purpose. Not as fantasy, but as direction. Because the future you repeatedly imagine eventually influences the actions you take today. And this connects directly to modern psychology. Your brain adapts to the identity you rehearse most often. If you constantly rehearse weakness, you strengthen weakness. If you repeatedly rehearse growth, confidence, discipline, and possibility, you slowly become that person. And that's where the book becomes more than motivation. It becomes transformation. There are several unforgettable ideas from this book that stay with readers for years. One of the most famous is action cures fear. Simple, but incredibly powerful. Because fear survives in hesitation. The moment you act, fear starts losing control. Another unforgettable line is, think little goals and expect little achievements. Think big goals and win big success. That quote hits hard because it reveals how many people unconsciously limit their own future before life even tests them. And another powerful idea. People who believe they can move mountains do. Not literally, of course, but psychologically. Belief creates persistence. Persistence creates skill. Skill creates results. Most people only see the final outcome, but the chain always starts with belief first. And finally, one of the deepest lessons in the entire book is this. You become what you consistently think about. Your thoughts shape your emotional state. Your emotional state shapes your actions. And your repeated actions shape your entire life. That's why this book continues to resonate with readers decades later. Because technology changes, the world changes, but human psychology stays remarkably similar. People still battle fear, still doubt themselves, still dream of something bigger. And Schwartz offers a timeless answer. Expand your thinking, and your life expands with it. At the end of the day, the magic of thinking big is not really about becoming rich or famous. It's about refusing to live beneath your potential. It's about realizing that many of the walls in your life were built by your own thinking. And once your thinking changes, your identity changes. You stop asking, what if I fail? And start asking, what's possible if I actually believe in myself? That shift changes everything. Your confidence grows. Your communication improves. Your discipline strengthens. Your opportunities multiply. Not overnight, not magically, but gradually, powerfully, permanently. Because the people who change the world usually aren't the people with the highest IQ. They're the people bold enough to think beyond limitations. And maybe that's the real magic this book is talking about. Not magic in the fantasy sense, but the extraordinary transformation that happens when a human being finally stops thinking small. So the next time fear tells you to shrink, to stay quiet, to play safe, remember this. Your life will always move in the direction of your strongest thoughts. Think bigger, act bolder, expect more from yourself. Because the future you want may already be possible. The only thing that needs to grow first is your thinking.